Greetings. I wanted to walk you through the home loan project, starting with what you should do first. So there's two PDF files that you need to take a look at. This is the first one. Walks you through the various specifics. So for start, you want to research a home loan. This can be realistic. This can be something that you're interested in, or this can be the dream home, you know, when you make your $50 million. It's kind of leave it up to you. Now I'm going to walk you through the spreadsheet and show you how they generate these numbers here in the example. But you want to research your own numbers when you do this. Okay, and then you want to download the spreadsheet. So we kind of go back here. So there's two parts to this. So I'll worry about the second part a little bit later, but I do want to download the spreadsheet. So I kind of get that. And this is what we're going to work on in this project, is filling in this spreadsheet with stuff. And at the end of the project, you've got some questions that you'll be able to answer, that you'll turn in with your spreadsheet. So that's there. This is where you'll find the video that I'm currently making. I'm actually adjusting the one I had before. These are actually the same documents, so if you want to, you're more than welcome to download the information again. If you want to have that in front of you, that's fine. And then you'll upload, just click here to upload whatever information you want to upload from your computer, or you can anyways, if you drag and click it here, it'll go in there as well. And so you're going to turn in two documents. You're going to turn in the spreadsheet, and then you're going to turn in your answers to those questions. All right, so let's jump over to the actual spreadsheet creation. And this is a little bit of patience here, so bear with. Okay, so for starters, we're going to input these grayed out information. That's what we get to type in. We're going to actually fill in or figure out how to get the rest of this information here in a second. So we're going to say our sell price is $235,000. We're going to do it 10% down. Our APR in this case is 6%. And we're going to do a 30-year loan. Okay, so to calculate the down payment, we're going to multiply the down payment by the sell price of the house. So we're going to take this down payment and multiply sell price times the percent that we perceive as our down payment. And so that's what we want to pay ahead of time, is $223,500, and that matches that. And then the loan amount then will be the sell price minus the down payment, which is where we get that. Then to calculate the payments, now there is a formula for this, but the nice part about this project is I would like to show you that the Excel will help us go a little bit faster if we understand the formula calculation. So we're going to do a built-in function called payment. So let me type equals PMT parentheses. Now notice it's going to ask us for some information, so I can kind of highlight, or it tells me what's next. So I want the rate, and the interest rate is, it's the 6%, but let's kind of jump down here. Okay, so our rate is the 6%. The number of payment periods is going to be, let's see, we can kind of click on that. Let's see, number of payment periods would be the 30 years times 12 payments in a month. Present value is the loan amount. And let me hit enter there. Now we're going to get an error on that. Kind of talk about what that means. So first off, I should see 1,268 and I didn't. Okay, and part of that is my interest rate is not really 6%, that's 6% a year. So I actually want to take that and divide that by 12. Okay, so now I got the right number, except it's red and not black. That's actually bad. That means I've got a negative amount. So what I want to do is I'm going to make that initially negative, and of course 2 negatives make a positive, so now it's black again. What it's saying is, since I owe this amount, that means I'm in the red already. So anyways, a little sign trick, and we got that totally figured out. Okay, now for total interest, probably the easiest way to do this is to take the payment that we've been making, multiply that by how many times are we making this payment. So we made it 12 times a year times 30 years, and we want to deduct the actual loan amount, and that'll tell me how much I've made in interest. Okay, probably the easiest way to do that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, now we got this top part figured out, we're going to go in and figure out how much we pay each particular month. In other words, we want to see, it was called an amortization schedule. You know, what happens each month when I make my payment? What does that do to the overall interest, principal, balance of the loan? So in month 0, I want to connect that to the original loan amount. Okay, and then I want to calculate the interest. Well, the interest is going to be the balance times the APR divided by 12. And so I pay 1,015 interest, which means I want to take my payment then and subtract off the interest, and so I'm only getting 210 towards the principal, and so my balance is only going down. So take the previous month, subtract off the principal, and so that's my new current balance. And my numbers match the example, so it seems like I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to scroll down a couple, and I hit a problem. Oh no! Okay, so that means I just need to do an absolute, there's some absolute references that I did not connect. So let's go back and see what happened here. Let's see, so when I clicked on this, it was supposed to, let's see, I always wanted to E13. E13 is the previous month, so that's okay for it to vary. That D4, that's always going to be 6%. So I wanted to always go back and look at that cell. So that's dollar signs around that. Okay. Let's see if that fixed it. Well, no, got a little closer. Okay, so 1,056.45. Okay, so that's good. Now the problem's with the principal. So I have it going to D8. D8 is the monthly payment, so I want it to always look there. So I'm going to put dollar signs around it. Okay, let's try this again. It's kind of fun, a little troubleshooting. All right, did I get it to work? 210.865.19. Okay, yay, I got it all to work. So a lot of times with Excel, you'll kind of do some troubleshooting there. So I can drag it. Ooh. Let's try that again. That is not what I wanted to do. Okay, so let me highlight all 3 cells. Drag it down. Seems to be working just fine. 436. Okay, so then if you remember from the last project, here it's my mouse sort of changing symbols as I hover across this corner here. So right now it's a big white plus, then I go right in this corner, it's a black plus. So I'll make it a black plus, and then double click, and it will fill in the rest of this chart. And so I can scroll down, and I can see exactly how long it takes to pay off my loan. And so right after 360 payments, you can see your loan balance goes down to 0. And you can see the very last payment you paid $6 in interest and most of it went to principal. So it's kind of interesting to see how much money is going to interest each month and then how much is actually going to principal. Okay, so that takes care of the first part of the project. That brings us over to this part, so extra principal. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to get another page of directions, page 2. So it says complete part 1, which we did, yay. Okay, now for your project, we're going to leave this sort of open-ended. Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what to type in based on my numbers, but this is something you can actually go back and play with. So I would like to pay $105.67 extra a month. And what this represents, in case you're going, well, that's weird, why would you do that? Let me kind of off to the side show you what I did. I said, well, if that's my payment each month, let me take that and divide it by 12. And so if I just add an extra 105 every month, in a year, I will have paid an extra house payment. Okay, so the question is, if I just pay one house payment extra a year, what is that going to do to my overall loan? And this is where I think this project gets really interesting. And that allows us to kind of play with, what if I add an extra $200, or what if I add an extra $50, or and it's not necessarily that there's the magic amount, but it's that the more you're paying, the more you're saving. So I think it's helpful for students to kind of see how that works. Okay, so to calculate months to pay, cell J4 based on regular payments plus extra, we're going to do what's called an N per formula. So equals N per, let me kind of back up, returns the number of, before I hit the parentheses, it actually tells me what this thing does. It says returns the number of periods for an investment based on periodic constant payments at a constant interest rate. In other words, it tells me how many payments it takes to pay something off if I'm adding this extra amount. Okay, so it's going to ask for a rate, and the rate goes back to our APR divided by 12. Then it's going to ask for the present value of the loan, which is the $211.50, and then it's going to ask for, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. It asks for the payment. Okay, now the payment is the initial payment plus this extra payment, and then the present value is the loan amount. Okay, so, and we didn't get that right, so let's go back and do some troubleshooting. Okay, so as I read the directions here, it says to put the payment and the extra principal both as negatives. Okay, so let me go back in, and instead of adding, let's go negative D8 minus that, and I get 295. Okay, and that kind of makes sense. I mean, it's why they're negative, that makes sense. So the negative meaning that I got in debt initially, so the amount that I'm paying, I'm actually paying it out, not getting it back. That makes sense. All right, months saved. All right, so years saved. I'm sorry, in order to count the months saved, simply count the number of years of the original loan by 12 and subtract the months. Okay. So we're going to come back over here, and it's a 30-year loan times 12, and we're going to subtract off the actual number of payments it took, and so that tells me I'm saving 65 months by adding that extra $105, and years saved, so that would be 65, so that number divided by 12 Tells me how many years that I will actually physically save by doing that. New interest is calculated by multiplying the quantity of payments and the extra principal by the months to pay and subtracting the loan amount. Okay, so kind of read this, kind of click on it step by step as it tells us to. New interest. Okay, so J7 is calculated by multiplying the quantity of payments. So I want D8, which is that plus, oops, notice I want to do this by, I want to add those first. So D8 plus J3, which is our extra payment. And I want by the months to pay, so times months to pay, and subtracting the original loan amount, which is D7. Alright, so the new interest is that. And so the interest saved, well, if I was initially going to pay $244,097 in interest and ended up paying $193 in interest, then there we go, $51,934. So I actually saved $51,000 by adding an extra $105 each month. Okay, so that gives us those quantities. Now let's look at the actual chart. So the actual chart then, okay, so year balance 0 for month 0. I want it to go back to the initial loan amount. Alright, interest. So interest is calculated. That part sort of stays the same. It's the balance times the APR divided by 12. Gives us that. Okay, and the principal then is going to be our payment minus the interest. Okay, but we also have this extra principal. So the extra principal is going to be that extra payment that we are throwing on top. And I know ahead of time I want that to be an absolute, because I'm always paying that constant amount each month. Okay, so our new balance then is the old balance minus the sum of the principal plus the extra payment. So it doesn't seem like much, but our balance is actually a little bit lower during the first month than it was in the last one. Okay, so let me go down a month and make sure drag it down. Uh-oh, something didn't work. Okay, so there's an absolute reference I didn't get. Oh, that D4 needs to have dollar signs around it. Alright, let's see if that fixed it. Nope, almost. Let's see. D8 needs to have dollar signs around it. Alright, third time's the charm. And yay, it worked. Okay, so I can see that I got month 2 to work. Drag it down, and it looks like it's going to work from here on out. So again, white cursor, black cursor. If the cursor is that little black target, little plus there, go ahead and double click and it'll fill in the rest. And so what you can do is you can see, as we scroll down here, that it's faster. Right here, took 295 payments to get it to be fully paid off. So between 294 and 295, we obviously pay the whole thing off. So you can see that that extra $100 is nice. And the cool part is you can come up here and you can play around with this. So what if I add an extra 200? And you can see that you end up saving yourself 8, almost 9 years. And so, you can kind of play around with these numbers and sort of see how this is generated. So the last reminder I'll give you, and then I'll kind of stop the video. When you are turning the project in, so you're turning in 2 documents. You're turning in the spreadsheet that I just helped you make, and then there's some questions about your particular numbers. So these questions are based on what your research came up with. So what, you picked a home loan, a price you wanted. You picked a down payment that you wanted. Not necessarily my numbers, but something that's reasonable. I know nowadays you can get a lot different than 6% for a home loan. So you can kind of see the power of how the home loan percent actually plays into this as well. So anyways, if you have any questions, let me know.